Why do we exist? Really? Not in the casual, late-night coffee shop way, but in the way that grips your chest when you're alone under a wide, star-salted sky, and the silence feels like it's listening back. Has this ever happened to you? A flash of awareness, a hush inside the mind, and suddenly the oldest question in human history is no longer abstract. It's personal. You feel the pull toward purpose and meaning, the sense that your life is part of a larger pattern woven through the cosmos. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Across centuries, seekers have tried to answer that question with philosophy, theology, and science, and each has offered a piece of the puzzle. Yet there are moments when another kind of voice enters the conversation, one that claims to speak from beyond our ordinary stream of thought. Enter Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, whose self-induced trance states produced over 14,000 readings that many believe tapped a universal consciousness. Whether you approach him with curiosity or caution, his legacy raises a provocative possibility that the purpose of human existence, why we exist at all, might be accessible not only through reason, but through a deeper, interior doorway of awareness. Imagine this: a man lies down, closes his eyes, and in that altered stillness offers descriptions of the soul, destiny, and the hidden architecture of life that seem to stitch together meaning and mystery. What you're about to discover might surprise you, not because it demands blind belief, but because it invites a new lens. Cayce's trance readings didn't just recite esoteric phrases. They suggested that we stand inside a living universe where consciousness is foundational, where the human journey is more than survival, and where purpose isn't imported from the outside, but awakened from within. If you've ever felt that tug, that you're part of something vast and intentional, stay with me until the end, because we're going to explore how this question of why do we exist becomes a compass for daily life. Picture the keywords that have trailed your own search: meaning, purpose, soul, the cosmos, universal consciousness. They aren't buzzwords. They're signposts pointing toward an experience many people sense but struggle to name. Cayce's body of work, those thousands of trance readings, suggests that our longing for meaning is not a glitch in evolution, but a feature of reality itself, an inner compass aligning us with the design of existence. Maybe you've tried to explain this feeling away. You've said, "It's just emotions," or "It's the brain doing what brains do." And yet, under the quiet, something keeps whispering. Has this ever happened to you? A coincidence too precise to ignore, a dream that feels like a message, a moment when the boundary between you and the night sky thins and you sense a conversation happening beneath the surface of things. In the language of seekers, you might call it the soul. In the language of Cayce, you might call it a doorway to universal consciousness. In the language of science, perhaps emerging questions about awareness itself. Different dialects, same intuition. There is more here. So what if we approach this mystery like explorers rather than spectators? What if, for the next few minutes, we entertain the possibility that purpose is not a prize at the finish line, but the field we're already standing in? Cayce's life invites that experiment. He wasn't a philosopher king in a marble hall. He was a man who closed his eyes and spoke from a current he believed flowed through everyone. If even a fraction of that is true, then the question, why do we exist, isn't a riddle to frustrate us. It's a doorway designed to be opened. If insights like these speak to you, make sure to subscribe. This way, every new revelation and reflection will find its way to you, right when you need it most. What you're about to discover might surprise you, not because it contradicts your deepest intuition, but because it gives language to it. And as we step further into Cayce's revelations, into the possibility that existence itself is meaningful, that human life carries intention, and that consciousness is the thread connecting it all, we'll begin to trace a pattern that just might change how you move through your day. For now, hold that question close, feel the sky above you and the quiet within you, and notice the way they start to rhyme. In the next part, we'll turn the key a little further and see what opens. Why would a perfect God create human beings at all? If we imagine divinity as complete, infinite, lacking nothing. Then the very idea of creation seems almost contradictory. Why extend perfection outward into fragile forms of flesh and consciousness? Traditional answers often suggest that God sought worship, obedience, or companionship. Yet these explanations fall flat when measured against the vision of an all-sufficient source. Would eternity itself truly hunger for praise or servitude? According to Edgar Cayce, the hidden truth is far more extraordinary and speaks directly to the nature of our existence and the role we play within it. Cayce proposed that creation was not born from divine boredom, but from an impulse of love and growth. Human beings, in this perspective, are not cosmic afterthoughts or pawns in a divine game. We are designed as vessels, as living opportunities for the soul to develop, stretch, and transform toward the likeness of its Creator. This means existence itself is not arbitrary. It carries within it the seed of purpose. Every thought, every action, every decision is more than a passing event. It becomes a brushstroke in a much larger painting that is still unfolding. Think of it this way: if the universe is a great stage, then life is not a performance for a distant spectator, but a co-creation in which we are both the actors and the scriptwriters. Has this ever happened to you? In the middle of an ordinary day, perhaps during a simple walk or a quiet pause, you suddenly sense that your choices matter on a level you cannot fully articulate. That moment of clarity, fleeting but powerful, mirrors Cayce's insight that we are God's expression in motion, channels through which the infinite discovers itself in form. This shifts the mindset completely. Instead of living under the shadow of judgment or striving endlessly for external approval, we begin to see ourselves as participants in an intentional journey. The struggles you face, the relationships that test you, the opportunities that awaken courage or fear, all of them are part of a curriculum tailored for your soul. Nothing is wasted. Behind the scenes, life is not chaos. It is a carefully orchestrated landscape of growth. Each obstacle conceals an invitation, each setback a revelation waiting to be unveiled. Consider how different this perspective feels compared to the idea that life is random chance. If we are merely biological machines, then pain is meaningless and joy is fleeting. But if Cayce's view holds even a fragment of truth, then everything shifts. The impact of your daily decisions reverberates far beyond the surface. A kind word is no longer a small act, it becomes a contribution to consciousness itself. Choosing forgiveness over resentment, patience over frustration, or creativity over stagnation transforms not only your personal path, but the very fabric of reality. The hidden truth here is that life is not about becoming something foreign to ourselves. It is about remembering what has always been within us. Just as a sculptor reveals form by removing stone, the soul reveals its likeness to the source by shedding illusions and fears. The journey is less about acquisition and more about recognition, uncovering the divine spark already burning at the core of our being. Every experience, whether triumphant or painful, serves this unveiling, polishing the mirror through which divine love can shine more clearly. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because Cayce's revelations about our role as expressions of God carry implications that touch every layer of life: relationships, health, purpose, even the way we interpret struggle. When you see yourself not as a passive creation, but as a dynamic expression of the infinite, the world around you transforms into a classroom filled with sacred opportunities. The question is not only why did God create us, but also how am I allowing that creative force to live through me right now? If this perspective resonates with you, if you've ever felt that spark of recognition when thinking about your own journey, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me," because sharing that realization not only acknowledges your own path, but also helps others recognize they're not alone in sensing something deeper at work within their lives. Science has often sought to reduce existence to equations, molecules, and measurable facts, while spirituality whispers that behind the numbers lies a living intelligence, a pulse of meaning that can't be weighed on any scale. Edgar Cayce's perspective draws a bridge between these worlds, not by discarding reason, but by expanding it. He suggested that we are not human beings occasionally stumbling into spiritual experiences, but spiritual beings navigating the human condition with all its chaos, beauty, and contradictions. This reframing changes everything, because suddenly the focus isn't on what we lack, but on how each moment carries an unseen invitation to transformation. Think about how this shift in mindset alters your relationship with daily life. A disagreement with a loved one, for example, stops being a random clash of personalities and instead becomes a mirror reflecting your capacity for patience, compassion, and self-awareness. That difficult decision at work is no longer just about financial security or status. It becomes part of the soul's curriculum, shaping resilience and clarity. Even the most ordinary routines, cooking a meal, waiting in traffic, or speaking kindly to a stranger, transform into sacred practices, each one a stitch in the fabric of your evolution. The hidden truth is that life's classroom doesn't always look like a temple or a meditation hall. Most often, it looks like your own living room, your workplace, your relationships. Cayce described this process as co-creation, a collaboration between the divine spark within us and the greater consciousness of the universe. We aren't given omnipotence, but we are given intention, and intention is no small force. Every thought, every act of generosity or resentment, every choice of forgiveness or blame, sends ripples across the field of reality. Behind the scenes, these decisions are not forgotten. They are woven into the soul's ongoing journey, accumulating into patterns that shape future experiences. It is in this sense that destiny and free will dance together. The stage is set, the lessons prepared, but how we respond, that is ours to decide, moment by moment. Has this ever happened to you? You find yourself facing the same kind of situation again and again. Different faces, different places, yet the pattern feels familiar. It could be recurring conflicts in relationships, repeated challenges in career paths, or even cycles of self-doubt. From Cayce's perspective, these repetitions are not cruel accidents. They are the soul's persistence, presenting the same lesson until we are ready to integrate it fully. This realization softens the frustration, because what once felt like punishment begins to reveal itself as opportunity. Life is not pushing us down, it is pushing us deeper. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when we see ourselves as co-creators, the ordinary burdens of life begin to feel extraordinary. Consider how empowering it is to realize that every act of kindness, every decision aligned with love, doesn't just impact your immediate environment. It reverberates far beyond what you can see. Your mindset becomes a tool of creation, your choices the architecture of unseen realities. This doesn't mean you will never struggle or stumble. It means that even your struggles are meaningful, even your stumbles are part of the choreography of growth. What becomes clear is that the soul's journey is not about escaping the human condition, but about engaging with it in a new way. Transformation is not a matter of bypassing difficulty, but of transmuting it. The conversation that tests your patience becomes the ground where compassion is cultivated. The obstacle that blocks your path becomes the forge where resilience is shaped. In this light, nothing is wasted. Every fragment of experience carries within it the potential to awaken something deeper in you. This perspective also dismantles the illusion that spirituality is reserved for the extraordinary few, the monks, the mystics, the enlightened teachers. Cayce's vision suggests the opposite, that the classroom is universal, and the students are all of us. The hidden truth is that the divine spark doesn't wait for grand rituals to ignite. It flickers most vividly in the smallest of gestures. A smile offered when it wasn't required, forgiveness extended when it wasn't deserved, creativity expressed when it wasn't expected. These are the seeds of transformation, planted daily, growing silently but powerfully. The impact of this realization is immense. It shifts us from spectators of life into participants, from victims of circumstance into collaborators of destiny. And perhaps the most liberating part is recognizing that perfection isn't the goal. Alignment is. Each choice that leans toward love, truth, or service nudges us closer to that alignment, closer to the likeness of our source. And each time we fall short, life patiently circles back, presenting the lesson again, until we are ready to receive its wisdom. If this way of seeing life resonates with you, if you've noticed those recurring patterns or felt the weight of decisions shaping you in unexpected ways, write in the comments, "I'm also on this path." Sharing those words will not only affirm your own journey, but remind others watching that they are not walking it alone. Life has a way of circling back to the same themes, doesn't it? You meet different people, walk through different jobs, live in different places, yet the same patterns keep reappearing as if reality itself were whispering, "Did you learn it this time?" According to Edgar Cayce, this is not coincidence or bad luck. It is the soul's curriculum unfolding. Just like in a classroom, lessons repeat until they are fully integrated. That difficult colleague who mirrors your unresolved anger, that partner who awakens your deepest fears, that recurring financial struggle, all of them are not random events, but opportunities staged with remarkable precision. The hidden truth is that life is far less about punishing mistakes and far more about teaching resilience, awareness, and compassion through persistent practice. Now imagine that before you were born, your soul actually participated in sketching out these experiences, not in the sense of scripting every detail of your life, but by choosing the context, the challenges, and the relationships most likely to stretch you toward growth. From this perspective, the very circumstances you sometimes resent may be the ones you deliberately accepted as the fastest path to transformation. Has this ever crossed your mind, that the people who test you the most might actually be the very souls who agreed to help you remember your strength? It changes the way you see hardship, because what once looked like cruelty begins to resemble strategy. Behind the scenes, your story is not chaos, it's choreography. This is why alignment matters more than perfection. Perfection is an illusion, a moving target we chase endlessly but never capture. Alignment, on the other hand, is a choice available in every moment. Each time you lean toward love instead of fear, each time you offer compassion instead of judgment, each time you place service above selfishness, you step closer to your soul's purpose. These small, repeated alignments are the quiet revolutions that move you toward what Cayce described as likeness with your source. They are not about achieving some final flawless state, but about learning to navigate with integrity, moment by moment. Think of it as a constant recalibration. You might drift, stumble, or forget, but alignment is always just one choice away, and those choices ripple outward in ways you may never see. A word of encouragement given in a moment of despair might save someone from giving up. A decision to forgive may release generations of bitterness. Even choosing patience in a tense moment can shift the atmosphere around you. These are not minor adjustments. They are acts of co-creation, shaping both your own soul and the collective journey of humanity. The impact of such decisions is profound, though often invisible, like roots strengthening beneath the soil. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when we see life as a classroom chosen by our own soul, everything takes on new meaning. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in mindset opens a doorway to empowerment. Struggles stop feeling like punishment and start appearing as mirrors, showing us where transformation is possible. And when you realize that you helped choose those very mirrors before birth, the resentment softens. Suddenly, even pain becomes purposeful, and your journey unfolds with a new kind of dignity. If you've ever sensed that certain challenges in your life repeat until you face them differently, or felt that strange recognition when someone difficult enters your path, write in the comments, "This makes sense to me." Putting it into words is a way of acknowledging that you see the hidden design at work, and it might also help someone else recognize the meaning behind their own recurring lessons. If you've ever sat with the thought of your own mortality, you know how it can stir something deep inside: fear, curiosity, or even a strange sense of recognition. Cayce's perspective reshapes that reflection completely. Consciousness, he insisted, doesn't stop at the borders of the body. Death, in this view, is not a wall but a doorway. What we call endings are simply transitions, chapters closing so that others can begin. This changes the entire way we approach life, because it means we're not racing against time, nor are we defined by its limits. The soul's arc is broader, stretching across lifetimes, carrying wisdom, tendencies, and unfinished lessons with it. When you see yourself through this lens, the urgency shifts. Instead of asking, "How much time do I have?" the more powerful question becomes, "What am I doing with the choices I have right now?" This is where free will enters the story with all its force. Cayce never painted human existence as a rigid script where every event was preordained. Instead, he described it as a pattern of intention, a design we helped sketch before entering this life. The broad strokes may be there, certain relationships, challenges, or themes, but the details are written in real time by how we respond. It's as if the universe provides the stage and props, but we improvise the dialogue and movement. Every decision, every reaction either accelerates our growth or delays it. And here lies the hidden truth. Nothing is wasted. Even detours, mistakes, and delays fold back into the curriculum, ensuring that the lesson will eventually return until it's fully absorbed. Think of how liberating this mindset can be. Instead of feeling trapped by destiny, you recognize yourself as a co-creator in a purposeful design. The tension between destiny and free will isn't a contradiction. It's a partnership. Life offers the context, but you supply the choices. This dynamic means that every small act has impact far beyond the surface. Choosing patience in the heat of conflict, extending kindness to someone difficult, or even deciding to pause instead of react in anger, are not trivial gestures. They are alignments, moments of harmony, with your soul's purpose. Each one ripples outward, shaping not just your path but the collective field of human experience. And yet so often, we experience the body as a barrier rather than a bridge. Pain, illness, and fatigue can feel like obstacles to the spiritual journey. Cayce, however, revealed something striking, that many ailments are not merely physical, but reflections of inner disharmony. When we live out of alignment with our soul's deeper truth, ignoring our intuition, suppressing emotions, or resisting necessary change, the body often becomes the stage where that misalignment is expressed. It whispers first, then shouts, drawing attention to the imbalance we might otherwise ignore. Healing, then, becomes more than treating symptoms. It is about restoring coherence between body, mind, and spirit. Whole person healing recognizes that a healthy life isn't achieved through physical adjustments alone, but through alignment with purpose. Have you ever noticed how clarity of conscience can bring peace to the body, or how forgiveness can lift a weight from your chest? These are not coincidences. They are revelations about the inseparability of our different dimensions. Behind the scenes, the physical, emotional, and spiritual are not separate systems. They are layers of the same energy field, interacting constantly. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the relationship between health, purpose, and consciousness suggests that our well-being is not just a biological matter, but a spiritual one. True healing requires more than medicine. It requires meaning. When we recognize illness as not only a condition to be cured, but as an invitation to transformation, we engage with it differently. Instead of fighting against the body as an enemy, we begin to listen to it as a messenger. The hidden truth is that coherence, alignment, and purpose are not luxuries. They are necessities for wholeness. If you've ever felt that your body was trying to tell you something deeper, or noticed how your mindset could transform the way you experience health, write in the comments, "I see the connection." By sharing it, you give voice to your own awareness, and remind others that healing can be more than recovery. It can be revelation. Karma is a word that often carries the weight of superstition or fear, as if it were some cosmic punishment waiting to fall upon us for every misstep. Yet Edgar Cayce reframed this idea in a way that is both liberating and profoundly transformative. He described karma not as a sentence handed down by a stern universe, but as education, a feedback loop that teaches us the responsibility of our own energy. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the more empowering question becomes, "What is this experience trying to teach me?" That shift in mindset opens the door to growth rather than guilt. Behind the scenes of what we call karma is the recognition that every thought, every choice, and every action plants a seed that eventually matures, offering us the harvest of wisdom or the chance to learn anew. This way of seeing cause and effect turns life into an ongoing classroom, where nothing is wasted and every moment becomes material for transformation. Think of a time when you faced a repeating challenge, a conflict that kept resurfacing, or a fear that seemed impossible to outgrow. From Cayce's perspective, this wasn't fate being cruel, but the soul patiently presenting the same lesson until you were ready to master it. That realization changes the impact of struggle. Rather than being a victim of circumstances, you recognize yourself as a student of them. Each difficulty becomes a mirror, reflecting back an aspect of yourself waiting to be acknowledged, healed, or transformed. If creation itself is an act of love, then the ultimate destination of this educational process is a grand return to that love. Love is not merely an emotion in this framework, it is the very fabric of existence, the original impulse from which we emerged, and the final truth to which we are destined to awaken. To expand our capacity to live and embody love consciously is to align with the deepest purpose of human existence. This is why Cayce emphasized that progress is not measured by perfection, but by alignment. Every time we choose love instead of fear, compassion instead of judgment, or generosity instead of selfishness, we participate in the return. It is less about striving for some distant ideal and more about remembering the essence that has been with us all along. And here lies one of the most beautiful revelations. Spiritual work is not about adding layers of wisdom or chasing lofty states of consciousness. It is about subtraction, about peeling away the illusions that cloud our awareness of what is already true. Cayce compared this to the work of a sculptor. A statue doesn't have to be invented. It is already hidden within the marble. The artist's task is to remove what does not belong, so that the form can emerge. Similarly, the divine spark within us doesn't need to be constructed. It needs to be revealed. The illusions of fear, resentment, pride, and separation are like excess stone. Each act of awareness, each choice for love, chips away at what conceals the truth until the self beneath is uncovered in its full brilliance. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because this subtractive process is not only spiritual poetry, it has practical implications for how we live each day. When you realize that your task is not to become something new, but to remember what you already are, the weight of striving lifts. Transformation becomes less about endless self-improvement and more about letting go of what no longer serves. The hidden truth is that wholeness is not earned, it is remembered. Each moment of clarity, each decision aligned with love, becomes a step in the unveiling. And while this work can feel difficult, it is profoundly freeing, because it reminds us that the essence of who we are has never been lost. If you've ever felt that life's challenges were chiseling something deeper out of you, or that behind your struggles there was a hidden design guiding you back to love, write in the comments, "I feel the unveiling." Putting it into words not only acknowledges your own journey, but may help others recognize that their own trials are also part of this sculpting toward the divine. Every joy you've ever felt, every sorrow that's bent you to your knees, every spark of creativity you've poured into the world, all of it lives on, not just in your memory, but within a greater field of consciousness. Cayce described this as a universal reservoir, where nothing is wasted, where every experience contributes to the expansion of awareness itself. Imagine that your laughter doesn't vanish into the air, but ripples outward, imprinting the cosmos. Even your pain, the nights of doubt and uncertainty, become part of that eternal current, shaping not only your journey, but the collective evolution of all souls. The hidden truth is that your life is far more significant than it appears. Behind the scenes, you are not merely surviving moments, you are enriching the very consciousness from which creation springs. This perspective also sheds light on why some paths feel magnetically right, while others resist us at every turn. Soul missions, as Cayce framed them, leave subtle clues in our lives. The passions that ignite effortlessly, the talents that seem to bloom without explanation, and even the recurring challenges that test us again and again. All of them are part of a chosen curriculum. They are the map left behind by your own soul, pointing to what you came here to learn and contribute. Difficulties, in this light, are not detours but sharp growth edges, places where transformation is most possible. Think of it as the difference between lifting a light weight and one that strains you to the core. The resistance is greater, yes, but so is the strength gained through the effort. Have you ever wondered why certain lessons seem to arrive in cycles, appearing with new faces but the same essence? It could be the same type of relationship dynamic, financial hurdle, or personal doubt circling back, each time asking you to respond differently. From the soul's vantage, these repetitions aren't failures. They are opportunities to refine, to deepen, to master what could not yet be fully integrated. The impact of this understanding is liberating, because it means you are never simply stuck. You are engaged in a purposeful process designed to awaken new layers of wisdom within you. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the timing of the soul adds yet another layer to this hidden architecture. We live in a culture that worships speed, where progress is measured in how quickly results appear, and patience is often seen as weakness. But the soul doesn't move on human timelines. What feels like unbearable delay may actually be the most precise alignment, a pause designed to ensure that growth unfolds in its fullest form. It's as though your life has its own season, and just like you cannot force winter to become spring overnight, you cannot rush the unfolding of your soul's curriculum. This truth reshapes how we hold frustration and disappointment. What if the setback you're facing is not denial, but preparation? What if the unanswered prayer is a doorway to a deeper path you wouldn't have chosen on your own? The hidden truth is that timing is not about withholding. It's about orchestration. The universe arranges experiences with an intelligence that far exceeds what the conscious mind can grasp. Patience, then, is not passive waiting, but active trust in the rhythm of your journey. It is a mindset shift from "I'm late" to "I'm right on time." And when you look back, you often see the precision. That job you didn't get that led to a better path. That relationship that ended painfully but opened space for a deeper connection. That period of struggle that carved out strength you didn't know you had. The impact of these delays is not random inconvenience, but the sculpting of your destiny with exquisite care. Transformation happens not only in the breakthroughs, but in the pauses, the intervals where your soul is aligning the unseen pieces before the next chapter begins. If you've ever felt the strange clarity of hindsight, where what once seemed like misfortune revealed itself as perfect timing, write in the comments, "I trust the timing." Expressing it helps anchor that trust in your own mindset, and may remind someone else that what feels delayed might, in fact, be the most precise unfolding of their soul's journey. It is tempting to think of spirituality as something reserved for temples, rituals, or extraordinary moments of awakening. Yet Cayce's perspective dissolves that boundary completely. The sacred doesn't live only in ceremonies, it breathes in the ordinary. Every encounter, whether with a cashier, a colleague, or a neighbor across the street, becomes an invitation to embody the divine. How you listen, how you respond, how you carry yourself in those brief exchanges matters. It matters because spirituality isn't about where you stand, it's about how you stand in every moment. The hidden truth is that daily life is already the altar, and our choices are the offerings we place upon it. This way of seeing reframes the so-called small actions. A glance of patience when you're in a hurry, a smile given when you don't feel like smiling, a word of encouragement when someone expects indifference. All of these weave into the larger fabric of transformation. They may look simple on the surface, but their impact is profound. Behind the scenes, these gestures ripple outward into the collective consciousness, and in times of crisis, when the world feels fractured, their power is amplified. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because choosing higher vibrations during moments of tension or chaos is not about ignoring reality or bypassing pain. It's about redirecting energy. Think of history's darkest hours. Even then, acts of compassion refused to be silenced. A shared loaf of bread, a quiet gesture of protection, or words of courage spoken in the face of fear carried immeasurable weight. These were not niceties. They were creative forces that reordered the very atmosphere of despair. demonstrating that kindness has structural power. The mindset that love is fragile misses the truth. It is the most resilient force we can wield. This insight transforms how we view our role in difficult times. Your choices are not insignificant drops in an ocean of conflict. They are sparks of coherence that ripple through the field. Imagine a symphony where one instrument shifts into harmony. Slowly, others follow, and the entire sound changes. In the same way, your alignment, your refusal to collapse into fear or resentment, has the potential to shift not only your inner world, but the collective field we all share. Personal decisions, born of inner clarity, carry consequences far beyond the immediate moment. When you move from me to we, the scope of your impact becomes evident. Cayce emphasized that inner alignment naturally scales outward, reshaping relationships, communities, and even the collective destiny of humanity. This doesn't require a stage or a spotlight. It begins with coherence in the heart. A single act of forgiveness within a family can heal generations. A decision to serve rather than exploit within a workplace can shift the culture of an entire team, and when multiplied, these shifts accumulate into societal transformation. Behind the scenes, what we call progress is often nothing more than individuals choosing to live from alignment, one decision at a time. The hidden truth is that spiritual growth is never purely individual. It is collective by nature. Every choice you make sends ripples into the human story, expanding or contracting the possibilities for others. When you embrace this, responsibility stops feeling like a burden and becomes an honor. To live with intention is to recognize that your daily presence participates in the shaping of humanity's journey. If you've ever witnessed how a single act of kindness transformed a tense situation, or felt how your own alignment positively influenced those around you, write in the comments, "I've seen the ripple." Naming it affirms not only your experience, but also encourages others to notice how their smallest decisions may already be leaving an invisible yet powerful impact. When we look at Edgar Cayce's life, not just as a collection of readings but as a lived example, something remarkable becomes clear. He wasn't simply a messenger repeating abstract truths. He embodied the very principles he spoke about, often at great personal cost. Rising in the middle of the night to help a stranger, walking through harsh conditions to offer guidance, or sacrificing his own health to serve. His compassion was not theoretical. It was active, tangible, and transformative. In those moments, Cayce demonstrated a hidden truth. Service doesn't just uplift the receiver, it transforms the one who gives. The healer and the healed are bound in the same current of growth, both moving closer to alignment with love through the act of giving. This is why service is not secondary to spiritual practice. It is its highest expression. But what gave Cayce's work an edge that still reverberates today was his audacious claim that consciousness itself is the foundation of reality. He anticipated what modern physics would only begin to suggest decades later, that the observer is not separate from the observed, and that our awareness participates in shaping the world around us. Think of how revolutionary that mindset is. Behind the scenes of daily life, our very perception carries creative weight. The way you frame an experience, the meaning you assign to it, the belief you carry into it, all of these influence how it unfolds. Consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, as science once insisted. It is the ground from which matter emerges. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because Cayce's insights into energy and the body reveal a framework of health that feels startlingly ahead of its time. He described human beings as more than flesh and bone, insisting that we exist within energetic fields that both shape and respond to our inner states. The connection between mind and body was not a poetic metaphor for him. It was a direct relationship. Our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, he said, could influence the condition of the physical body. This was long before psychoneuroimmunology became a field of study, before the placebo effect was widely recognized, and before systems thinking reframed the body as an interdependent whole. Cayce's revelations anticipated all of this, pointing to a hidden truth. Health is inseparable from mindset, and healing requires coherence across every level of being. Consider what this means for the decisions we make every day. If our beliefs and emotions can either harmonize or disrupt the flow of energy in our bodies, then wellness is not just about treatments or medicine. It is about alignment. A grudge held for years doesn't only weigh on the heart emotionally. It can manifest as tension, imbalance, even illness. Conversely, forgiveness doesn't just lighten the soul, it can restore vitality to the body. Transformation begins the moment we recognize that our internal state is not locked away in the mind, but expressed through the entire field of our being. The impact of this realization is profound. It dissolves the illusion that healing is something external to us, handed down by fate or withheld by chance. Instead, it becomes an active process of alignment, a dialogue between body, mind, and spirit. Behind the scenes of symptoms and diagnoses lies a conversation waiting to be heard. The body speaking the language of the soul. Cayce's message was not to deny the physical, but to recognize its deeper roots, to approach illness not with fear but with curiosity, asking, "What is this imbalance trying to reveal?" That question shifts everything. Instead of resisting, we begin listening. Instead of battling, we begin aligning. If you've ever noticed how your emotions shape your energy, or felt how your mindset seemed to influence your physical well-being, write in the comments, "I've felt the connection." Sharing it not only validates your own journey but also reminds others that what science is only now confirming was already spoken through the wisdom of the soul generations ago. Wholeness, as Cayce envisioned it, was never about isolating one part of ourselves while ignoring the others. To him, true healing required the integration of belief, emotion, and body working in harmony. Fragmentation, the attempt to fix only the physical while neglecting the mental, or to focus solely on spiritual practice while ignoring the body, leads to cycles of symptoms returning again and again. The hidden truth here is that every layer of our being is interconnected, and lasting transformation comes only when we honor the fullness of who we are. Imagine it like an orchestra. If one section is out of tune, the entire performance is affected, no matter how beautifully the others play. In the same way, the body, mind, and spirit are inseparable instruments of the same song. This wholeness also expands across lifetimes. Cayce described life not as a single performance, but as many acts in a grand play, with the soul as the actor carrying wisdom, tendencies, and unresolved lessons from scene to scene. Between these lifetimes, there is reflection, planning, and even a kind of preparation for the next role to be played. Familiar souls reappear, not by accident but by choice, sometimes as allies, other times as challengers, always as teachers. Have you ever met someone and felt an inexplicable recognition, as if your bond extended far beyond this lifetime? According to Cayce, that recognition is a glimpse behind the scenes, a memory of soul contracts formed long before this chapter began. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because this perspective of many lives as one continuous journey shifts how we understand both our struggles and our connections. Instead of seeing a painful relationship as meaningless conflict, you begin to view it as an intentional meeting point, a chance to resolve old wounds or deepen compassion. Instead of viewing setbacks as random cruelty, you see them as carefully designed opportunities for growth, chosen not to punish, but to awaken. This mindset transforms how we approach every challenge. Life stops feeling like a chaotic sequence of events and becomes a purposeful curriculum, each page leading us closer to alignment with our source. And at the core of this journey lies what Cayce called Christ consciousness. For him, this wasn't a distant religious concept or an abstract theological idea. It was practical, embodied, and available to everyone. The kingdom within was not a poetic metaphor, but a direct instruction. Look inward, and you will find the spark of divinity already present. The revelation is that spiritual growth is not achieved in grand declarations, but in the smallest of actions. Patience, when your instinct is to snap. Presence, when your mind wants to rush ahead. Care when indifference would be easier. These are not minor gestures. They are the raw material of inner transformation. The impact of this realization is profound. You no longer chase enlightenment as something outside yourself. Instead, you begin to recognize it in the way you wash the dishes, the way you listen to a friend, the way you respond when tested by stress. Christ consciousness, in Cayce's view, was not about escaping the human experience, but about transfiguring it. Each ordinary decision becomes a sacred opportunity, each mundane encounter a chance to embody the divine. And as you live this way, not only does your inner world shift, but so does the collective consciousness, for every act of patience and care ripples outward into the larger field we all share. If you've ever felt that your smallest choices carried a significance beyond the moment, or that simple acts of patience and kindness seem to transform the atmosphere around you, write in the comments, "The kingdom is within." Affirming it aloud is not only a reminder to yourself, but a signal to others that the hidden truth of divinity is alive in everyday life. When we begin to see ourselves as spiritual beings temporarily wearing human clothes, the lens through which we view life changes dramatically. The frustrations, conflicts, and misunderstandings that often feel so heavy are no longer just proof of how flawed people can be. They become reminders that each person is carrying their own sacred journey beneath the surface. Recognizing the divine spark in others doesn't mean pretending harm doesn't exist or erasing healthy boundaries, but it does soften judgment. It allows us to approach situations with a mindset of curiosity instead of condemnation, to see conflict not only as a problem, but also as an invitation to transformation. Behind the scenes, even the most difficult relationships can serve as mirrors, reflecting back parts of ourselves we've ignored or denied. This is where Cayce's idea of creation for companionship comes alive. If existence were about control, then free will would not be necessary. But real love can't be forced. It must be chosen. The Creator, in what Cayce called the divine risk, allowed humans the agency to say yes or no to that relationship. Freedom means the possibility of error, of choices that wound ourselves and others, but it also means the possibility of authentic connection. And it's precisely this risk that makes our decisions so impactful. Every choice we make becomes part of the ongoing dance between separation and union, fear and love, contraction and expansion. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic because the concept of free will as the cornerstone of love reveals why life can feel so complex. We are not here to be programmed machines responding perfectly to a set of rules. We are here to wrestle with decisions, to stumble, to rise, and in that process, to learn what it truly means to love with awareness. The hidden truth is that the very challenges we resist are often the catalysts that refine our capacity for freedom. When we resist them, they persist, circling back until we finally choose to face them with courage. What we label as monsters, those people who trigger us, those situations that exhaust us, are often mirrors showing us where freedom is still waiting to be claimed. Think of the recurring dynamics that show up in your own life. Perhaps you've noticed the same kind of argument repeating in different relationships, or the same pattern of fear showing up whenever you try to step into something new. From Cayce's perspective, these repetitions are not punishments, but invitations. They are reflections of the areas in which you are still learning to align with the deeper truth of who you are. The impact of realizing this is profound, because it means you're never actually stuck. You are simply being given another chance to see clearly. This reframing transforms how we navigate both inner struggles and outer challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the question shifts toward, "What is this showing me about myself?" That subtle change in mindset is powerful. It takes us out of victimhood and into responsibility. Not responsibility in the sense of blame, but responsibility as the ability to respond consciously. It turns resistance into revelation, and in doing so, it frees us. Life then becomes less about eliminating conflict and more about understanding it. Every argument, every disappointment, every repeated challenge carries within it the seed of transformation. When seen this way, the very situations that once felt like burdens begin to look like teachers. This doesn't make them easy, but it does make them meaningful. And meaning, more than comfort, is what fuels the soul's evolution. If you've ever noticed how a recurring challenge kept returning until you approached it differently, or realize that someone you thought was an obstacle was actually a mirror. Write in the comments, "I see the mirror." Naming it gives form to that awareness and reminds others that the lessons they're resisting may be the very keys to their freedom. There are moments when life feels like it's whispering directly to you, arranging events with such precision that coincidence doesn't quite explain it. You think of someone, and they call. A book falls open to the exact passage you needed. A chance encounter shifts the course of your path. Cayce described these synchronicities not as random quirks of chance, but as guidance, gentle nudges reminding us that we are students in a larger classroom. When we adopt the mindset of a student, even pain ceases to be meaningless. It transforms into insight, revealing the hidden truth that every experience is purposeful. Every encounter is part of a pattern designed to bring us closer to alignment with love. Synchronicity also ties into what Cayce called the Akashic imprint, a kind of energetic record of the soul's journey across lifetimes. The talents that come easily, the aversions you can't explain, the instant connection with certain people, these may all be echoes of prior learning. The soul, according to Cayce, does not start fresh each time it enters a body. It carries wisdom forward, like a traveler adding to a journal with each journey. What seems like natural ability may be the fruit of many lifetimes of practice. What feels like irrational fear may be the residue of unresolved lessons still waiting to be faced. Behind the scenes, the narrative of your life is woven into a tapestry far larger than a single chapter. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because this continuity across lifetimes reveals a profound system of accountability, not the punitive kind that instills fear, but a cosmic design that teaches. Cayce described it as a universal law of cause and effect, where every thought, every action, every intention sends ripples into the larger field of consciousness. These ripples eventually return, not to condemn us, but to educate us, to show us more clearly how our choices align, or fail to align, with love. The impact of this understanding is radical. It reframes life as a dialogue between you and the universe, a continuous conversation in which every decision matters. This accountability system doesn't operate like a court handing down punishments. It works more like a mirror. The energy we send out reflects back, sometimes quickly, sometimes across lifetimes, until we learn what it means to choose from love rather than fear. When viewed this way, karma loses its heaviness and becomes an invitation. The difficult circumstances that arise are not evidence of being cursed or abandoned. They are evidence that the universe is still teaching, still guiding, still offering opportunities for growth. Each time we return to love faster, the cycle shortens, and the soul evolves more gracefully. Think of the moments in your own journey when hindsight revealed a hidden design. Perhaps you faced a loss that, years later, opened the door to deeper wisdom or unexpected strength. Perhaps you realized that a recurring conflict was teaching you the very thing you had been resisting. These are not accidents. They are the fingerprints of a universe engaged in your transformation. The hidden truth is that we are not left alone in chaos. We are immersed in a living system that responds to us, shaping our evolution in ways both seen and unseen. If you've ever noticed synchronicities guiding you, or felt that your choices carried ripples far beyond the moment, write in the comments, "I see the pattern." Sharing it affirms that you recognize life's hidden design and may encourage others to trust the subtle guidance already moving in their own journey. Deep within every human being, Cayce suggested, is a divine spark, an unquenchable light that longs for expression in the world. Yet this spark can become muffled beneath layers of noise, distraction, and fear. Meditation, he explained, clears away that static, like tuning a radio to its true frequency. In stillness, the signal of the soul comes through with greater clarity. Prayer, on the other hand, is the conscious act of aligning our will with wisdom, weaving intention into that quiet channel. Together, meditation and prayer are not abstract rituals. They are practical tools that allow the spark to shine through the fabric of our everyday decisions. The hidden truth is that illumination isn't waiting in distant mountains or sacred temples. It's waiting in the way you choose to respond in traffic, in conversations, and in the privacy of your thoughts. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because Cayce's understanding of healing expands this idea into the body itself. He saw life force as a responsive current, not something fixed or mechanical. When our beliefs and actions realign with love, he said, the body often responds in remarkable ways. Testimonies from those who followed his guidance spoke of shifts that conventional medicine couldn't fully explain. Pain lifting, symptoms easing, vitality returning. These weren't miracles in the sense of bypassing natural law, but rather the natural consequence of restoring harmony. Behind the scenes, the body was never the enemy. It was always the messenger, reflecting whether we were living in coherence with our deepest truth. This perspective reframes health not as a battle to be won, but as a conversation to be heard. Illness becomes less of a punishment and more of a signal, a gentle or sometimes urgent reminder that something within us seeks reconciliation. The impact of this mindset shift is enormous. Instead of fighting the body or fearing its fragility, we begin to partner with it. We ask, what is this imbalance trying to teach me? And in that question, we uncover possibilities for transformation. Healing, in this sense, becomes less about eliminating symptoms and more about restoring wholeness across body, mind, and spirit. And here lies one of Cayce's most striking revelations. Reincarnation itself is a form of mercy and mastery. Souls, he suggested, may actually queue for more difficult lives because the growth potential is richer. From the limited perspective of the human mind, hardship seems cruel, even unfair. But from the vantage of the soul, challenges are catalysts, compressing lessons into experiences that awaken resilience, compassion, and courage. In this way, reincarnation isn't a wheel of punishment, but a journey of refinement, each life a classroom designed with intention. What's particularly fascinating is how Cayce described the blueprint of a life. It wasn't micromanaged fate where every detail was predetermined. Instead, themes and opportunities were chosen, certain relationships, certain challenges, certain potentials for growth, like the curriculum of a course. Within that framework, free will remained intact. We decide how to engage, how to respond, whether to accelerate our learning or delay it. The hidden truth here is liberating. No experience is wasted, and no failure is final. Each incarnation, no matter how complex, is part of a grand arc pulling us steadily toward love. This understanding changes how we hold both suffering and success. The hardest lives may carry the most profound opportunities for mastery, while the seemingly easy ones may offer subtler lessons of balance and gratitude. In this light, envy fades and comparison dissolves, because every soul walks its own carefully chosen path. The impact of this perspective is profound. It invites patience with ourselves, compassion for others, and trust in the invisible architecture guiding us all. If you've ever felt that your struggles, though painful, shaped you into someone stronger or wiser, or sensed that life's difficulties carried a hidden purpose, write in the comments, "I see the mercy." Putting it into words affirms not only your own growth but may inspire others to reinterpret their hardships as steps on the soul's greater journey. If there is one truth that Cayce emphasized again and again, it is that you are not a closed system. You are not just a mind in a body, isolated from the rest of existence. You are a conduit, an opening through which the infinite flows into the finite. The energy of creation does not bypass you. It seeks expression through you. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful ways to unblock that current. When resentment is held, it dams the flow, trapping life force in loops of pain. But when forgiveness is chosen, even when it feels undeserved, it clears the channels, and suddenly vitality, creativity, and love surge again. This is not about excusing harm, but about refusing to let the past choke the present. The hidden truth is that forgiveness liberates both the giver and the receiver, restoring circulation to the soul. Creativity works in a similar way. Every time you paint, write, sing, problem solve, or build, the universe is experiencing itself through your expression. You may think your art or your ideas are small, but from Cayce's perspective, they are cosmic. Behind the scenes, Your creative spark is a thread in the tapestry of divine expression. Each note or brushstroke or inspired decision expanding what the infinite knows of itself. When you lean into creativity, you are not only shaping your own journey, you are contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because Cayce's vision of the soul's return to source is not a straight line, but a spiral. We do not march forward into something entirely new. We circle back to what has always been, carrying with us the awareness earned through experience. This is why he described the path not as acquisition, but as remembering. We are not gathering pieces to become whole. We are uncovering the wholeness that was always there. Each lifetime, each choice, each challenge is another turn of the spiral, bringing us closer to the center, closer to the essence we never truly lost. This perspective radically shifts how we see growth. Instead of imagining ourselves as lacking, scrambling to accumulate wisdom or virtue, we begin to understand that we are simply peeling away what obscures the truth. Every act of kindness removes a layer of fear. Every decision rooted in love strips away the illusion of separation. Every moment of conscious presence chips at the stone until the statue beneath is revealed. The spiral doesn't erase our humanity. It dignifies it, showing that even our detours and mistakes are woven into the larger movement of return. The beauty of this spiral journey is that it makes everyday life the sacred curriculum. You don't need extraordinary circumstances to evolve. It happens in how you treat your family, how you respond under pressure, how you navigate disappointment, how you savor joy. Living consciously doesn't require abandoning the world. It requires inhabiting it with awareness. Every decision is a lesson, every interaction a chance to remember. And the impact of this realization is liberating, because it means there is no wasted moment. Even the most ordinary day holds within it the seeds of eternity. In this light, spirituality stops being about striving for a destination and becomes about recognizing the sacredness of the path itself. To live consciously is to see the divine in the mundane, to let love inform even the smallest gestures, and to allow your daily choices to echo eternity. The hidden truth Cayce revealed is that we are already on our way home, already part of the spiral, already carrying the essence of the source within us. What remains is to remember, to choose love again and again, until remembrance itself becomes natural. If you've ever felt that life's twists and turns were not setbacks, but part of a deeper pattern guiding you back to something essential, write in the comments, "I remember the spiral." By doing so, you affirm that beneath all the noise, you too sense the hidden design pulling you gently, persistently, toward home. If you've stayed with me all the way here, it probably means something in this message resonated with you. That's exactly why this space exists, to keep opening doors to hidden truths that help us see life with more clarity and purpose. So if you want to keep walking this path together, subscribe and let these reflections keep finding their way to you. And since you made it to the end, I'd love to know, leave a comment with the phrase, "I'm with you until the end." It's a simple way to mark your presence here and to show others that this journey speaks to you as well. Don't forget to leave a like too. It's a small gesture, but it helps keep this circle of connection alive. And before you go, there's a video right here that beautifully complements what we've just explored. Click and continue with me over there, and let's keep unfolding these revelations together.